The first thing I will invite people to consider is that they are not broken. I will invite them to forgive themselves for choices they have made. I will invite them to look back with kindness and with gentleness to the struggle they had with procrastination. I know deeply for every person I work with that they regret some of those choices they made about postponing things. They didn't want to make the choices. They just didn't know how to manage all the inside noise that shows up in a person's mind and the feelings that come when facing a difficult task or something that may look easy and manageable, but they feel overwhelmed. The first thing will be really asking the listeners for forgiveness and self-compassion, knowing that to be human is...
Hi, I'm Dr. Jodi Richardson, and this is Well, Hello Anxiety. In a world that often moves too fast, we're here to pause, breathe, and understand anxiety together. Each episode will explore practical strategies, share honest conversations, and uncover the science behind anxiety and well-being, all while creating a space where it's okay to not be okay. Let's continue this journey together. If you've got a bunch of half-finished projects, maybe they're small tasks, maybe they're big projects, or maybe they're goals that you want to get going with, but you just can't seem to get started. If that is you, or you relate to any of that in any way, you are absolutely going to love this episode. This one is for you. And that is because today's guest has actually written a book that is all about procrastination, and that's what we're talking about. And I want to make a distinction first up. We're not talking about putting things off because you can't be bothered. We're actually talking about, and today's guest really specialises in the anxious, overwhelmed, perfectionistic kind of procrastination that keeps us stuck even when we care so much about getting things done. I know these feelings, I know these experiences, and I know you probably do too. So it's such a joy because I'm welcoming back a previous guest. I am joined today by Dr Patricia Zurita Ona, or we lovingly call her Dr Z. She's known that way to her clients as well because she also practices as a clinical psychologist. She's a licensed clinical psychologist. She's joining us from beautiful California, and she has really deep expertise in a variety of different therapies. One of the things that she's really known for is bringing behavioural science to life with so much compassion, but also in a very practical and human way. And that's why I wanted to invite her back, and particularly because of her expertise in this brand new book. I can't wait to dive in. So, Patricia, or Dr. Z, welcome back to the podcast.
Jodi, thank you so much for having me in your podcast. It's always very special to chat with you. I'm a big fan of your work and how much you are disseminating skills for children, teens, parents, and families and adults that need to learn how to manage anxiety. So thank you for having me again.
Oh, thank you. Oh, gosh. And thank you for taking the time to write your new book. I know what it takes to write a book. It's such a huge undertaking, and it's always such a proud moment to have a book come into the world that's going to make such a difference for people. And when it comes to procrastination, it can really be such a hurdle to people really doing the things in life that they want to do. I want to say that the title of the book is The ACT Workbook for the Anxious Procrastinator: How to Accept Yourself, Get Things Done, and Do More of What Matters. And ACT standing for, being an acronym for Acceptance and Commitment Therapy. So thank you for writing it. What was the spark that got you thinking, hey, this is, I think, a book that I want to devote a whole lot of time and energy into bringing into the world?
Thank you for that question. The truth is that every book I have written, it's because I was stuck in the room. I think many times in the work we do with our clients, whether you're working as a psychologist, therapist, or as a coach, helping people to engage in behavioral change, guiding people on how to take steps towards what matters to them. It is a difficult task. It's a very rewarding task. I find it very revitalizing. I absolutely love what I do. But I also know that many times behind the doors, we experience a stuckness.
Yeah.
We get stuck in terms of how we can navigate to this particular emotion, to this unexpected thought that is showing up, to this unexpected situation in which a person is dealing with anxiety and struggling there. So over the last years, as you know, my work is primarily focused on acceptance and commitment therapy, specialized exclusively for anxiety-based struggles. So every client that I work with, whether they are 5 years old, 7-year-olds, or 50 years old, they are stuck in their head overthinking. They're struggling with a fear about a particular situation. They're dealing with perfectionists. They're dealing with phobias. They are dealing with procrastination, or a combination of these struggles. I think as much as we know that to be human is to be anxious, we also know when anxiety can shift from a natural human experience into a struggle that keep us stuck, that make us shrink, that make us withdraw, that make us hide.
Yeah.
And in my work, I experience that. I work with many clients, teenagers or adults, struggling with procrastinating behaviors. And the biggest question for me is always how to make acceptance and commitment therapy skills accessible for anyone who wants to get out of this stuckness and build a life that they are proud of.
Yeah.
So that's why I wrote this book, because I was trying to answer this question and because I saw the struggle that my clients were going through when trying to make a pivot in their lives.
Yes. If you haven't experienced it, those feelings can just be so overwhelming, and it can feel like you're up against a brick wall, can't it, when you're so anxious and overwhelmed, and you know how deeply important it is for you to move forward. And like you made the distinction between everyday normal anxiety, which is perfectly human, and then the struggles of people where they're hiding, they're withdrawing, or they're just stagnant. They're not moving forward. They're stuck. It's such a terrible place to be, and you can't really just will yourself through it, can you? You need more than that. It's not about being lazy or just you can't be bothered, or haven't got enough kind of motivation. It's so much deeper than that, isn't it?
Exactly. Thank you for mentioning that. I think there is so many misconceptions and so many myths about procrastination, like the ones we are mentioning. A person is lazy, they are not action-oriented, it's a personality trait. But the reality is that my invitation for people listening to us is to think of procrastination as the outcome of, to think of procrastination as the result of sometimes overwhelming feelings, as you're mentioning. Also, people experience a lot of self-doubt. They doubt their ability to take care of things, and they also struggle with negative stories. People put things off in a problematic way also because they are holding on to particular ways of thinking about the things that I need to have in place to get things done. I need to have this particular feeling for me to do some writing today, right?
Yes.
I just don't feel it within me, right? So that's another process. Behind procrastination, sometimes people will postpone things, again, in a problematic way, because they got reinforced to make feeling-based choices. I feel X, I do Y. If I have to decide today between riding or going for a hike, for a hike feels, cozier and I want to do it. It's a gorgeous day. It's California. So I will go, right?
Yes.
So I think procrastination is the outcome of 6 psychological processes. And that is why I think it's important to keep in mind. It has nothing to do with being lazy, with not being action-oriented. In fact, every client I work with, they do want to have a life that is joyful, rich, and a life that adds meaning into their life. It just happens that they do not have the skills to manage some of these psychological processes or a combination of them interacting together. So as an outcome, they procrastinate.
Yes. When you said before feelings-based decisions, and oh gosh, I was faced with one last night because my husband and I will go for a walk of an evening with the dog, and last night it was one of our kids was at work, one of them was at footy training. It's like, oh, Netflix is calling, the couch is comfortable. And but no, we put our sneakers on and we put our beautiful dog Dusty in the car. We can't walk from our house because there's no good walking tracks. But we did it, and I felt so good for having done it. But I also, you got me thinking about, we feel like we need to have certain things in place. And is that true for having the right equipment, the right clothing, the right gear? Kind of, all right, I want to start running, so I've got to get the right shoes, the right sort of leggings, and all of them, maybe a watch, a fitness tracker or something, which is a lot of expense. But really, that's just procrastination, isn't it? You can sort of get out and get going with what you've got, can't you?
That's right. It's exactly as you're saying, that many times when people are engaging in problematic patterns of procrastination, they are holding onto these thoughts as these absolute rules. I need to have X to be able to complete Y.
Yes.
And that X could be particular equipment. It can be a particular feeling you need to have. It can be the particular temperature and the environment that you need to have, the particular software you need to have, right?
Yes.
And there is truth. Sometimes we need some tools to get things done. There is absolute truth. But it's not as our mind tells us that it's either or. If I don't have all these requirements, therefore I cannot deliver. So that way of thinking is what leads sometimes people to postpone things off, right? That is what is more a process of how we're relating to our thinking that we do have to re-examine when we're looking at procrastinating behaviors.
Yes. For the person that's listening who's thinking, oh, I relate so much to this. This is me. You've kind of helped me understand more about why I'm putting something off. Where would you start with somebody who kind of feels a bit overwhelmed, and also frustrated with themselves because they haven't been able to do the things that they've wanted to do, maybe haven't understood what's holding them back and why it's been so hard? You've got somebody walking in and sitting in a beautiful comfy chair opposite you in your consultation. What's one of the first things that you might say or ask even?
I think that's such a beautiful question, Jodi. It made me smile as you were asking this. And I think the first thing I will invite people to consider is that they are not broken. There is nothing broken within them. I will invite them to forgive themselves for choices they have made. I will invite them to look back with kindness and with gentleness to the struggle they had with procrastination. I know deeply for every person I work with that they regret some of those choices they made about postponing things. They didn't want to make the choices. They just didn't know how to manage all the inside noise that shows up in a person's mind and the feelings that come when facing a difficult task or something that may look easy and manageable, but they feel overwhelmed.
Yes.
So I think the first thing will be really asking the listeners for forgiveness and self-compassion, knowing that to be human is a hard business. My gosh, it's not easy to be right. It's not easy.
Yes, I feel like
that would be an entry point.
Yes, I was just going to say I could change the name of the podcast. Being human is a hard business. It really is, and it's so easy for us to lose sight of the fact that everybody struggles. Everybody has, this internal noise that you just mentioned, and that we do come up against these obstacles, if I could use those, that expression. And the fact that you've started with that self-compassion, I think this is really important, because we've got an understanding that procrastination is an outcome of a whole range of psychological processes, that it is something that a lot of people experience, that it can cause a lot of regret. So if you are feeling that way, that's perfectly natural, and we want you to have a lot of compassion for yourself. But also to know that after listening to Dr. Z, after listening to this conversation, you'll be better equipped, and of course your book will be a wonderful support and resource for people to work through as well. When it comes to having the skills and the knowledge to be able to manage that internal noise, to be able to recognise it for what it is, They're really important insights, aren't they? Can we talk a little bit about, because we care so much about getting something done, and yet starting feels so hard. It can be so confusing.
Yeah, it can be confusing, it can feel overwhelming. So I think it is helpful for anyone tackling procrastinating behaviors to understand what leads them to procrastinate. So we talk at the beginning of the conversation about misconceptions about procrastination. So I want to put out there 6 questions for your listeners to
Great.
check for themselves so they
Okay.
can understand why they're procrastinating. So here's the first question. The first question is, what are the emotions that are very uncomfortable for you when you have this urge to put things off? So that would be the first question, right? Procrastination is also a matter of how we regulate our responses to our emotions. So
Yes.
it is helpful for people to start checking what are the emotions, what shows up for me emotionally when I start tackling a task or I think about tackling a task.
Yes.
If people have difficulty understanding or if people have difficulty naming their emotions, just notice the sensation that shows up in your body. If you can do a mini scan from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, what shows up in your body? Sometimes those feelings, those sensations are very loud for people that led them to put things off. So that would be the first question. What are the emotions that show up for me when I think about starting a project, when I have this urge to postpone?
Yes. Okay. Question 1. Thank you.
That's question one.
Yes.
So here's the second question. What are the rules that your mind tells you that lead you to procrastinate? And rules are what you were mentioning, Jodi, at the beginning of the conversation, is all the equipment we need to have, the feelings we need to have, the setting we need to have to get things done. When thinking about tackling a project, including a hobby, when we're thinking about taking tennis lessons, right? And we have been postponing that for like 5, 6 years, the mind tells us quickly, oh, you need to have the right time in your schedule. You need to have like 10 hours a week to commit to this, or you need to have the perfect racket for you to hit the ball well, that goes well with your weight and with your height. So rules are, again, all those requirements that tell people you need to have all this in place to get things done. So that's the second question. What are the rules your mind comes up with when you think about a particular project activity that you ended up procrastinating?
Yes. Okay. Rules. I'm starting to think about mine as well. And even just for me, one of the things that I just feel like I'll get up in the morning, I'll maybe take the kids to school, go and do some exercise, come home. But then I find myself like, if I haven't made the bed, I've got to make the bed, and I've got to make sure the kitchen table is clean. It's nothing to do with the work itself. It's just like the environment. It's almost like I feel this, and sometimes I'm well aware that I'm procrastinating. Otherwise, it's just this mode that I get into, and I feel like I've got to have everything around me kind of in a bit more of an orderly fashion, because it's a feeling I don't like. And until that feeling,
That's right.
yes. So that's something that I'm relating to. So that was number 2, was about the rules. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful example, Jody. I was nodding my head because I think sometimes when I talk to other providers, other psychologists or mental health clinicians that they want to write books, I usually hear, their mind coming up with rules like they say, I need to have the right topic to write about.
Right. Okay.
Right,
Yes.
that's another rule, right? Because there is no such thing, right? There is no such thing, right?
Yes.
To write, you have to write. You have to sit in front of a laptop. You have to write things, right?
That's right. Yes.
But that's another way. I need to have the right topic, right? So that's
Mm.
another question. Here is the third question, and this is where again I want to invite readers for self-compassion and kindness with themselves. The third question is about what are the thoughts that your mind comes up with about yourself and your ability to get things done that get on your way of tackling a project? One of the findings that many researchers have identified is that people who engage in procrastinating behaviors, in chronic forms of procrastination, they are usually struggling with a negative story about themselves, and they also doubt their ability to get things done.
Right.
And a negative story could be like, I am lazy, I am defective, I am not
Mm,
smart, I am a failure.
mm,
And what happens is that when they're thinking about a project, it could be again a hobby, it could be paying taxes, it could be enrolling in a new class, it
yes.
could be emailing you. Boom, the mind comes with the stories. You don't know what you're doing. You will mess up again.
Mm,
There's no need for you to do this. It's going to be a disaster either way. Can you do it? Do you know how to do it? What if it goes wrong? What if no one reads your book? So
yes.
the mind will come with thoughts about a person's ability to get things done and who they are in the world. And that's another process that shows up really quickly when people want to tackle things done. The mind gets very loud with those thoughts.
It really does. And it's true to say, isn't it, that often those things kind of can bubble away kind of a little bit below our consciousness from the point of view that we're not consciously realizing we're having these thoughts. We haven't got our awareness about what we're thinking, but these things can sort of bubble away. And so bringing more awareness to them, I imagine, would be one of the steps, especially an acceptance and commitment therapy approach to be able to better manage, or at least first of all be aware of what our minds are saying to us, because then we're in a better position to be able to do something, aren't we?
That's right. That's right. I think that is why these reflective questions help anyone to step back and check what's happening under my skin, right? What is my
Yes.
mind doing? What is showing up in my body? I think you're very, very accurate about this. Many times we're living in reactive mode where go, 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 let's do this, or we're in avoidant mode, right?
Yes.
With procrastination, there is a lot of avoidance that happens. Procrastination is a form of avoidance.
Mm.
But we have to hopefully learn to step back by reflecting what's really guiding me here? What's really driving this? What's a loud emotion? What is my mind telling me, right? So there is a lot
Mm.
of self-awareness that is required to have a joyful life, right? I think that's the
Yes.
starting point as well.
Yes. And I just love that you use the word joyful, because we can think about procrastination from a work perspective of a project we've got a task, or a person we've got to have a difficult or a bit of a tricky conversation with, or you've shared some of the lovely personal endeavours that we might put off, whether that's the tennis lesson, or it could be just even downloading an app like Duolingo to start learning a new language, or teaching yourself the piano at home. So many examples that we could come up with. But when you said about creating a joyful life, really that's, this work of being human is not easy, and especially when anxiety plays such a big part of it. And to have more joy in our life, we can do that for ourselves when we better understand the way that we are when opportunities are presented to us, or when there's something that we know we really care about, but we're struggling to kind of take that first step. And Dr. Z, you have already given us a much more compassionate lens, but also some really concrete ways that we can start understanding more about what's happening with us under our skin when we are procrastinating. So what I'd love to do is to pick up with question 4, if you can share that with us in next week's episode. So if you're listening, please make a start on answering the questions, pencil and paper, laptop open, however you like to do it. And I'd really invite you to spend some time between this episode and next week's episode, where we'll pick up again, reflecting on how you would answer the questions and start to understand a bit more about yourself. And Dr. Z and I will be back next week, picking up from where we left off. We'll see you then. Thank you for sharing this time with me on Well, Hello Anxiety. Remember, understanding anxiety is the first step to managing it. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. Take things one moment at a time. Focus on what you can control, and know that you are not alone on this journey. If you found value in today's episode, please share it with someone who might need to hear it too. I'm Dr. Jodi Richardson, and I'll meet you right back here next week.